Working with the race strategy. We've talked about it a little bit, and we're going to go over it again today. But before we start, we want to talk about our pre-test. So you guys have already received the data from your pre-test, and you know what you've made. So we're going to set a goal for our post-test. So we know based on our rubric, with using our race strategy, and based on our rubric, our goal is to make 85% on our post-test. So what you're going to do today, you're going to think about everybody I've talked to you, we've conferenced, you receive feedback, you know your individual pre-test score. So you're going to set a post-test goal to think about how much you need to grow to make 85% or higher. So you're going to set your goal. I'm going to give you some time to set it, and then we're going to post them up on our chart here before we begin. Start. Put a sign on this. As you finish with your goal, you can walk up and go ahead and post it on the chart paper. Wrapping it up, you got about 1 more minute. People saying they want to grow 20 more points. We got some people who want to grow 30 more points. Someone says they just want to make 85% or higher, which is the goal. So hopefully we will stick to that, and you'll work hard as we go throughout the unit of working with point of view and working with the race strategy. So we talked a little bit about the race strategy. This race strategy is used when we have an open-ended constructive response question. So that's used when we don't have a multiple choice question. And like with this unit, we're working with point of view. And when we have a question that may ask us point of view, we can't just, because you have to cite evidence from the text. So one of the things on our pre-test that we struggle with is most of us would say the point of view is third person because it has pronouns, blah, 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 blah. Or you would just explain Bible's point of view and you didn't use evidence from the text. So most people did a pretty good job identifying the point of view, but you had a difficult time citing evidence and going back into the text. So that's what we're going to work on today, is how to go back into the text and use this strategy to make sure that we've covered all components when answering an open-ended question. All right. All right. So we know that a constructive response is an open-ended question. It demonstrates knowledge from the text, which we've already talked about, and critical thinking skills. And it answers the basis can always be found in the text. So we want to work on going back into the text, like we've been reading the giver, and we've been discussing Jonas's point of view. We've been discussing Jonas's perspective. And instead of just saying this, the giver is written in third person because Jonas is telling the story, you guys have to go back and give evidence. So we're going to work on that today, not using the giver, but using an easier text, just a smaller text to understand the race strategy. And then tomorrow, we'll start working on this again with the giver with chapter 3. So let's look at the first one. I'm going to give you a practice sheet. It has the race strategy up top. We're going to be looking at the article regarding the lions. And then you're going to work together and work with me to solve the race strategy. So who can tell me, Zachary, let's look at the R. So what does the R mean in the race strategy?
R means that you restate the question, restate or reword the question and turn it into a statement.
Very good. So based on your question, to start out, you are going to, the R means that you always have to begin by restating or rewording the question to turn it into a statement. So that is the first thing you do when answering your open-ended question. The next one is A. What does A mean, King?
A means answer the question, and by that I mean what is being asked, answer all parts of the question.
Very good. So the A means answering the question. What is being asked? You're going to answer all parts of the question. All right, C, Tanaya.
Cite the source. Tell where you find examples and details in the text. In paragraph 2, the text states the author says.
Right. So C means that you're citing the textual evidence from the text. And you may begin that by saying in paragraph 2, and you'll give that evidence. Or you may say the text says, and you'll give that evidence. Or you may say the author says, and you're going to give that evidence. Okay? And the last one, E, Mason.
Explain your response. Give evidence from the text to support your answer. Add divides, like for example, or it shows, or this means, or I believe.
Very good. So not only at the end, you're going to kind of summarize everything. You're going to explain, and you're going to kind of expound on the evidence by taking this a little further. All right? So we're going to work on this using this article at the bottom. All right, so first we're going to work with the R, but we're going to read it first. Let's go ahead and read it silently, and then we'll read it together. So everyone go ahead and read this silently. I'll give you about 2 minutes, 2 to 3 minutes, and then we'll read it together. Still reading? All right. So our question, the first question, well, the only question we have regarding this article is, according to the article, is it important for lions to live as a pride? Zachary, go ahead and read for us, and then we will work on answering that question.
Lions live together in social groups called prides. Most of the lions in a pride are females and their cubs. The lioness share the work of hunting and raising cubs. By hunting in a pack, lions can take down animals far larger than themselves. Much of the food killed by a pride is taken by the males. In return, they provide protection from other lions. A pride has a well-defined territory, which is marked by the males. When lions in a pride meet, they greet one another by head rubbing, licking, and grooming. It's endearing to watch them.
All right, very good. So, according to the article, is it important for lions to live as a pride? So, for example, our article did not explicitly state this, but we're going to use the information in the article to answer. So, we have an example at the bottom of what this should look like. So, for R, before we even begin to answer the question, we have to restate the question as a statement or in our own words. So, how will we restate that question, Tanaya? Before we even begin to answer, what will we say? Look at our example.
So the article, it is important for lions to live as a pride.
All right, so you said to the article, it is important for lions to live as a pride. Okay, do we think we need this part to the article?
Yeah.
Hey, who can give me a different way? King?
It is important for lions to live in a pride because
Okay, so we can just use this part. It is important, and that's just this part right here. It is important for lions to live as a pride, and he put because. So it is important for lions Alright, so then we got to find out the next part. So first thing we just did was restated the question, because the question was, according to the article, is it important for lions to live as a pride? So we're getting ready to answer that, but we need to start off with the R, restating the question. So we said, it is important for lions to live as a pride because. Now, A means to answer the question. Alright, take your time and go through and look at our example and see what A would be. What would be the next step? And thumbs up when you have it. Okay, Kamari A. What would be A? Because
they depend on one another for survival.
Okay. So because they Alright, so how do we know that? What evidence from the text gave us that? The next part. For example, we have to use evidence. So we can use, for example, I believe. Okay, we can use some of those to start that next sentence, some of the keys they gave us, for example. Alright, so now we have to cite the text states. We can start with that. We can say the author says. So our next part, we're going to cite the source, C. Alright, citing our source. What can we say next, Tanaya? We said it is important for lions to live as a pride because, and then the answer was they depend on one another for survival. C, now we have to cite from the text, so we need to dig into the text, go back and look and see what you can put, and you have to start it off with one of our key terms. The author states, this shows, for example, alright, so she pointed out the part about them sharing the work. And so she says, because they depend on one another for survival, and you said the text states, okay? So she said the text states, say that again, the text states, okay, so the lioness share the work of hunting and raising cubs. Any other information from the text we can add for survival? Is that the only one? Any other evidence? Zachary?
Also, male lions provide protection from other lions.
Okay. So he says also male lions, you said,
Yes, ma'am.
provide protection from what?
Other lions.
All right. Any other evidence? Think that's about it?
They hunt together when they hunt larger prey.
Okay. They hunt together when they have larger prey. So instead of one, they work together. And then I'm going to conclude it by kind of summarizing, using a summarizing sentence, pointing it back to our question. So I'm going to say, also male lions provide, also male lions, I left out something. Also male provide protection. Left out. Protection from other lions. And I'm going to add, this helps them all survive. So that kind of last sentence just kind of summarizes all of my evidence as a whole. All right? So pretty much here we've done an example together. I'm going to, I can find an eraser. Oh, there it is. I'm going to erase this. So we've done an answer together. We've did all areas of the race. The first part is here, where we restated the question. Then the next part is the answer. Then our last part is our C, where we cited. We said the text states. And then the E, we gave all of our evidence from the text. And then lastly, which is not on the strategy, but on our rubric, we gave a little sentence to sum it all up. All right? So we're going to practice. Well, this was our practice one. You're going to get time to work in a group, to do one on your own. Alright, so we went through all parts of the race, and so now we're going to try it. So it says, let's try it. I'm going to give you a different passage, and I'm going to also give you the rubric. You're going to have the passage and the rubric, and you're going to make sure you're using the rubric and some paper so you can write your answer on your paper. You're going to try the strategy. Zachary, will you pass out the paper? Mason, pass out the rubric. And King, pass out the passage. everyone have a rubric. Everyone have paper and everyone have the article. Alright, everyone take the article out first. You're going to read your article. You're going to work in groups of 2. So Mason and Zachary are going to work together. King and Kamarie, and Asia and Tanaya. But first, you're going to read the article about Eskimos, and then you have a question. It says, according to the article, why did life change for the Eskimos in the 1800s? You're going to be using your race scoring rubric to make sure you have all components of the strategy. All right, so let's just talk about to get a 4. You're going to state the question clearly. It's stated, it's reworded in your own words. For restate. For answer, to get a 4, the question is answered fully and correctly, showing that the writer knows what is being asked. To get a 4 for cite, you got to give 2 or more examples. So you can't just give 1 example from the text. In order to get the 4, you have to give 2 or more examples from the text to fully support your answer. To explain, to get the highest points, you have to respond using answers to support like we did on our example. And then the last one, you want to have that summarizing sentence, okay? All right, so go ahead and work with your partner. I'll be coming around to help. You're going to read the article, Eskimos, and then you're going to answer the question, which is at the bottom in bold. And you're going to answer it on your blank piece of paper. And it should be developed with all parts of the strategy. You need to read it first, guys. You can underline, you can write on it. If you need to underline and go find your evidence. And see how these guys are reading first. Make sure you read it first and you can underline your evidence when you get ready to start answering it. And make sure you're referring to your rubric. Have you read all of the article yet, or are you already trying to answer it? Oh, okay. You guys read it all as well? Okay.
The life of the Eskimos began to change in the 1800s when people from Europe.
Well, first you need to worry about the R, so don't do when yet. Right, do your restate like you just said. Do your restate, and then you're going to go ahead and you can work with your partner if you're not sure.
With whales and fur traders, soon many of the animals that Eskimos needed were almost gone. Today, most Eskimos live in towns. They live in modern houses. They buy food at stores, but they always remain open. So we have to restate the question.
And so the question is, according to the article, why did the life for the Eskimos, why did the life change for the Eskimos in the 1800s? So remember, restating or rewording the question.
According to it.
No, we'll restate or reword. How would you write the question? What are we doing? We're doing the what? Okay, so what does R stand for? Restate. So you're not writing the question, you are restating. Y'all working together, or you kind of got it on your own? You don't have to. I just said if you needed a partner, but if you're fine and you think you have it, then you can do it independently. That one is for the summary. So you just making sure that you have all the parts. So it says that you have the clear evidence. You have summed it up with that one sentence that just sums up, everything, kind of bringing it back to the question how we talked about. That's what the last part is for. Okay, see, mostly everyone has the R. So now that you're working on A should be answering. So A should be answering the question. And try not to write the RACE because you're not going to do this when you are taking a test. And so try not to write those, but make sure you've done them. That's why I said using the rubric. So try not to put these on your paper. Just write the answers, the components of it. Because you don't want to get in the habit of writing RACE down, and when you take your writing test, when you take the milestone, and you put that down, you don't want to have that, because they don't, they want you to answer the question, so you don't want to lose points. So that's not getting a habit, but if you need to keep it in your mind and make sure you have all parts. So I don't want you to develop that habit. So erase that if you have R and A. You just want to, you can check it off on your rubric to show that you've done it, but don't write it on your paper. Because these guys, like let me borrow you for a second. See how he's just answering his, like he's answering a question? That's how I want it to be. You don't necessarily have to put the acronyms on there. Okay, so what did you find for the answer in the text? Okay. Did you write it down? You said when people from Europe, Eskimo life began to change in the 1800s when people from Europe
began hunting.
Okay. don't have to use her example, but she said in the third paragraph. Remember, for your examples, you can say the text states. You can say the author states. In paragraph 2. So in her example, she said in the third paragraph, because she's citing, that's C, she's citing where she found her evidence. So she has to say where. The author states, the text states, in the third paragraph, in the second paragraph. So if you just want to say the text states, you can. You don't necessarily have to say in the third paragraph, but that's just what she decided to write. But you can say that if you like. Tomorrow when we bring back out our book, The Giver, and we talk about chapter 3, and we talk about the author's point of view in chapter 3 and the perspective, we're going to be doing this. We're going to be going back in, using the evidence to tell how you know it's written in that point of view. So you guys are doing good today. I want to see if you can do that tomorrow when we bring back out our chapter book. Only one example. So you want to try to make sure you find at least 2 or more examples to support your answer when you start to give your evidence.
So E is here.
You can put it on here, but not the paper. If you want to put it on there. All right, I know Mason looks like he's finished. Where are we with our response? Who's on C at this time? C. What about E? Okay. Almost finished. We're going to go ahead and start to share out. Go ahead if you are finished. before we share out, go ahead and rate yourself using your rubric. What you think you may have scored. So you're going to go ahead and self-assess. Take your rubric out, and I would like for you to circle where you feel like you fell with each of the categories, and while we're sharing out. You can, if you're finished, you go ahead and rate yourself for those guys over here that are done. You can go ahead and score what you think, where you think you are with your response. So, we read about Eskimos. Where's my copy? Up here. So you read about Eskimos, and you talked about, let's see, because the Eskimos are people who live near the Arctic. It is very cold there. For thousands of years, the Eskimos found ways to live in the cold. Most of them lived near the sea. The sea gave them food. They hunted seals and whales. They caught fish. On land, they hunted a kind of deer called the caribou. The Eskimos made clothing from the skins of animals they hunted. In summer, most Eskimos made tents of animal skins. They sailed in boats made of animal skins. In winter, most Eskimos lived in houses made of snow or sod. In the coldest places, some Eskimos lived in houses made of snow all year long. Eskimos' life began to change in the 1800s. People from Europe started hunting for whales where the Eskimos lived. Fur traders arrived. The Eskimos worked with the whalers and fur traders. Soon, many of the animals that the Eskimos needed were almost gone. Today, most Eskimos live in towns. They live in modern houses. They buy food at stores, but they always remember the old ways. So your question was, according to the article, why did the life for the Eskimos in the why did life change for the Eskimos in the 1800s? So who can tell me how they restated our question? According to the article, why did life change for the Eskimos in the 1800s? Asia?
When Europeans began hunting in the Arctic.
Okay, did she restate? Who restated? We're doing the R. Before you begin, you have to use the R. You have to restate or reword the question, which is, according to the article, why did life change for the Eskimos in the 1800s? So you're answering, we need to R, restate. Kamarie?
Eskimo life changed in the 1800s.
Okay. So he says, and did you use because or Eskimo life change in the 1800s? Did you use because? Okay. Eskimo life change in the 1800s when? All right. And then that's going to be, what's our answer? When what happened? Now, Asia, what's the answer?
When Europeans began hunting in the Arctic.
Right. So, can't spell today. Europeans began, no, apostrophe. Europeans began, you said what? Hunting.
In the Arctic.
Right? Began hunting in the Arctic. Alright, so far we have the R and the A. Eskimo life change in the 1800s when Europeans began hunting in the Arctic. Now we want to cite some evidence. Who has evidence? Mason.
It says in the third paragraph, people from Europe started hunting for whales near where the Eskimos lived. Fur traders arrived.
Wait. give me one, and we'll get somebody else to give another one. So you said in the third paragraph. So see how he's citing? He said in the third paragraph. What happened, Mason?
Europeans started hunting for whales near where the Eskimos lived.
Europeans started hunting whales. Did you say where the Eskimos live?
Near where?
Near. Alright, so that's one. Alright, because our rubric says 2 or more, so that's one. Well, actually I wrote that up there wrong. I was supposed to just put this part, and then this goes here, and this is our evidence. So my citing begins here where I said in the third paragraph, or I could say the text says, or I could say based on the article. So that's my citing, and this is one of my evidence pieces. All right, what's another evidence piece? You have one, Kamaria? Besides, the Europeans started hunting whales near where the Eskimos live. You have something different? What's another one?
Fur traders arrived. The Eskimos worked with the whalers and fur traders.
So fur traders arrived and did what? Fur traders arrived
And started working with the whalers and fur traders.
okay. So fur traders arrived and started working.
With the Eskimos. With the Eskimos and the whalers.
Did you say whale traders or whalers?
Whalers.
Okay. All right. Do you have any more? All right.
So 15 plus 10.
Asia.
Eskimos began sharing their resources, and many of the animals were disappearing.
Okay. You said sharing their resources.
And yes,
And what happened?
and many of the animals were disappearing.
All right. So now we want to, and I don't have enough room, but I want to come up here and write our concluding sentence that will wrap it back all back together. And this is the one that we said is not a part of the strategy, but it kind of will end our sentence. So, Eskimos' life changed in the 1800s when Europeans began hunting in the Arctic. In the third paragraph, Europeans started hunting whales near where the Eskimos live. Fur traders arrived and started working with the Eskimos and the whalers. Eskimos started sharing their resources and many animals disappeared. And we can sum that all up by saying what? This is, what can we say?
I say that I believe the arrival of European hunters forever changed the way Eskimos live their lives.
Say it again, say it again, I just can't hear you.
The way Eskimos live their lives.
But what was before that?
I believe the arrival of European
Oh.
hunters.
Okay.
Arrival of European hunters.
Okay, so he ended it by saying, I believe the arrival, you said? Arrival.
Arrival or
Oh. Which one did you say, rival or arrival? Oh, arrival, sorry. So he believes the arrival of
European hunters.
changed the way Eskimos live? You said live in the 1800s, or did you say that? Lived their lives. Okay. Good. All right. So this last one kind of brings it back to our question about how they live their lives, how their life changed. So you always want to kind of conclude. We kind of bring it back to the question, and that's the one that I just added in because we need to summarize. All right. So let's look. Eskimos' life changed in the 1800s when Europeans began hunting in the Arctic. In the third paragraph, Europeans started hunting whales. No, in the third paragraph, we should have put maybe like the author states. Let's add that. In the third paragraph, or the text states.
I put in the third paragraph.
So in the third paragraph, the text states Europeans started hunting whales near where the Eskimos live. Then we have fur traders arrived and started working with the Eskimos and the whalers. Eskimos started sharing their resources and many animals disappeared. And then to end it out, I believe the arrival of the European hunters changed the way Eskimos lived their lives. All right, so let's see if you rated yourself. Or you did. Did you rate? Okay, good. All right, so I want you to go ahead and put this all in a stack in front of you. Put your name on it. And as I stated, tomorrow we're going to continue working with this strategy, but we're going to bring back our book. So now that we know what it is, let's summarize R. What does R in the race strategy mean? Asia?
Restate.
Restating what?
The question.
Restating the question. What does A mean, King?
It means answer the question.
Right, it means you have to answer the question. What does C mean, Zachary?
Cite the source, tell where you found examples.
Right, so you're citing the source, you're giving evidence, citing the source, and you're telling where you found it in the text, like we said in the third paragraph. And what's E, Tanaya? Explain or give what? Explain your
Evidence.
good. You're explaining or expounding on your evidence. All right, very good. So everybody put these in a stack. Put your name on it, and we'll dismiss. You'll be able to go back to your homeroom classes. And tomorrow, don't forget to bring your book. When you come back, bring the giver, and we're going to work with chapter 3, and we'll be doing the race strategy from there. All right, take up everyone's paper and put it up here for me, and you guys may line up.